Hey, what's up? It's Panzerkunz here, and I just completed the missions to get the F5F Skyrocket. So I wanted to take a look at it, first impression, first review. Uh, First thing I want to look at here is it comes with a lot of all the four seasons camo. So this is the summer, winter, desert, and marine, and it also comes with some nose art here. So that's pretty cool that they included all that. Usually it's just kind of one style or one special style, kind of like this here. But they have all of them, all the seasons. So you're good to go on all the styles for that. Thought that was really nice. And the first thing we'll talk about is the guns. And when I saw I had two Matsons, 23 millimeters, that reminded me of the the P36 GF, I think the gift era tier 4 American Night Fighter. So the XP36F, these are the Matsons on there, and then these are the Matsons on the Skyrocket. You only get 9 additional damage per second. You only get 40 more rounds per second, and they throw on 80 meters of range. So they're not completely new guns, they just buffed them slightly. And what you're left with is very low damage. And as opposed to the Bullfighter 5, which also has low damage, these 20s seem like they hit harder, they have more damage, they they have a higher rate of fire, and they just the velocity is just quicker. Whereas on the 23s, they're not going as fast, so it's a little harder to lead, and you just don't do a lot of damage. In fact, you have the worst damage of any tier 5 heavy fighter. So it suffers in the damage department. But since there's only two, it's easier to aim. You only got these two right here. So not a very good thing with the firepower. It doesn't feel like a true heavy where you can just go head to head with the light fighter and come out on top. You know, you don't have that umph in the firepower department, definitely. Bombs, you only have 400 pounders. I threw two of these at a AA gun, and nothing. It couldn't even destroy it. So I wouldn't really uh, put too much faith in these bombs. They're only really for finishing off low HP targets, or if you see some tents, just drop them on the tents. They do come back in 60 seconds, which is nice. But first thing I do, especially in the lower tiers, I just decide to take them off just to get more speed. But looking at the upgrades, if you take off the bombs, let me highlight the speed here. If you take out the bombs, it's only going to give you 8 and 10 kilometers quicker. So it's not really worth taking them off. It feels like in the 15 to 20 range, then I definitely would take them off. But you don't gain that much by taking them off. So just might as well leave them on there. And if you find yourself in a garrison or something and there's a medium ground target that only has like 100 or so HP left, just toss these bombs and call it a day. Type thing. Survivability, it's 300, which is just about average across all these tier 5 heavy fighters. So that's pretty good. Moving on to the airspeed, this is where it's definitely above average. 640 and 800. You're faster than all these heavy fighters here. See that 587. Key 45 is 518. Bullfighter 5, 538. The only thing that really is faster than you in all aspects is the P38. So you're pretty quick for a heavy. And to combine with that quickness, you're also very maneuverable. The only thing that can rival you straight up is the Key 45, which can definitely outturn you, and it has a slower stall speed. So if you get into a circle of death, most likely this plane will outturn you. And as you see in one of the clips, I got into a circle of death with a P38, and he was able to keep up. But I think because he was fully specialized with the turn build, must have been. So when you get this fully specialized, you get a turn build, you get a pilot with the turning skills. You can give the Key 45 a good fight, but you can basically outturn any heavy out there, even a tier 6. So that's something to note. And lastly, the altitude. It's a 44 rating with the 1800 minimum, and that's clearly above average. See, the bows are 37. Key 45 is 38. The BF 110 is 47, so just above you, but really only the P38 can fly rings around you in terms of altitude. So pretty decent little aircrafts. It's nice and quirky, kind of like the old premiums used to be. But in a nutshell, it's quick, decent altitude, very good maneuverability for a heavy, but very low firepower. So you kind of have to make that work. So let's look at a few clips of some of the battles I just had, and then we'll give it a rating. All right, so in this clip, I'm attacking an enemy garrison, and I'm heading up to get these heavies. And I scanned the area before going in, and I saw there was a P40, but he was going away. But he actually came back. And then once I realized he came back, I dive, and you'll see how quickly I'm able to get away from him. So I'm making my attack. Going up. Then I notice a P40. And I finish this guy off. Or I was going to. But then I decide I need to get out of here. And what's my best way to escape? I know I can outdive him and outpace him. And I have a full boost of 25 seconds. So check out how I'm able to just get away. I'm still in the range. 700. Look how now I'm pulling away now. 750. And I just skimmed the surface. And there's no way he can catch me. I did have to use all of my boost. And now what you do when someone's chasing you, you call the bots on them. See, I'm starting to slow down. I'm in the 600 range. This is where the range that he can get me. He turns. So right when he turns, that's when you turn. But because I call a bot on him, the IL-1 is able to finish him off. And now the threat is escaped and I can go back. So you easily saw how I can get away from a P40, and if that was another tier 5 heavy fighter, I still would have been able to get away from that also. Okay, same battle, just a few moments later. I'm climbing up to attack this P38 that's going for our bomber, but then he sees me, and then we engage in a turn fight. And I was pretty sure I was going to be able to outturn him here. I'm inputting some rudder. His engine was out. I'm trying to cut off his turn. See, I'm cutting downward. I'm like, alright, it'll take me another pass to get him here. Then he starts taking into like vertical loops. And now I'm like, okay, I'm a little bit in trouble here. I'm trying to keep it a one circle fight. And I just can't get around him now. Got some guns right there. If I would have got a crit or something, I would have been able to get around him. But look how he just angles downward. He's putting rudder, looks like it. And he's just keeping me at bay. I get some hits there, but then he kind of changes the direction a little bit. I'm trying to get him on the way down. And the more this is happening, the more he's kind of just neutralizing what I'm doing. And I was hoping he would keep heading downward to kind of lose sight of the ground. But when you're in a dogfight like this, just keep calling bots on them. And I had a bot around. I'm trying to pull up to rudder over. And see, I can't get around on him. Even with his critted wing. I thought I would get that last HP. But I couldn't. So clearly the specialized P38 can still outturn you in a non-specialized form. So here's a bombing run I did on 2 of the AA guns. As I mentioned, 2 bombs each, couldn't even destroy them. You be the judge if I did a good bomb drop or not, but I would think 2 bombs could take out these targets. But okay, there's a drop. 1, 2. And let's see. So it looks like they hit a little forward. They didn't take this one out. And then I dropped the next 2 bombs on this one here. Let's see where those hit. And just not enough damage. Maybe not the best drops, but I would think 2 bombs should be able to take these out. So you have to be spot on or just get demo expert or something, but not to the point where I would recommend going after ground targets like this to start off. And here I wanted to show an example of going head to head. You're a tier 5 heavy going up against a tier 6 light fighter. You still should be able to do a lot of damage. So check out what I did here. What I was able to do. He has 170. After head on, he's able to kill me even though I was a low health. So You would think a heavy, even though I was on low health, should still kind of be able to win that engagement, but clearly I couldn't. And that's just one kind of example of showing it's not the best, you know, striker or puncher in terms of heavy fighters. You still have to kind of finesse it a little bit. All right, so here we are at the Kunster scale with the F5F Skyrocket. First rating for altitude out of 5, but we give it a 4 because as you saw it does have a higher ceiling than a lot of the tier 5 heavy fighters, but the king of the sky in that sense is the P-38. Moving on to speed, with when you specialize this, you can, I'm pretty sure, get it close to 700 or even above that, which a lot of the other tier 5 heavy fighters could only dream about. You have 800 kilometers dive speed, so you can get away, as I showed. But obviously, it's not the best as the P-38 is, so it gets a 4. Unfortunately, for firepower, I just couldn't. I couldn't even give it a 1 because although it's around the same DPS as the Bullfighter 5, it just the velocity is slower. It doesn't pack as much punch. The range is the same, but they just the guns don't do it for me. The only good thing about them is they have a long burst length, which can help you. But a lot of the times you want to take targets out quickly. You don't want to be sitting there for too long, especially GA and bombers. And also, as I showed, the bombs aren't that great either, so I had to give it a 0. And lastly, turning or maneuverability. It's the top one is the Key 45, so I couldn't give it a 5, but it's pretty much better than everything else. Maybe you'll get your run for your money with the specialized P-38 with a turn build. So we add all that up, and we get a 12, which under the Kunstler scale falls under the meh category. And I couldn't wholeheartedly give this a Das Gut because it's not good in the sense that it's a carry plane or that you're going to be getting 15, 20k personal points every game. It's just a nice little alternate style type of aircraft, tier 5 gift plane. It's something different, and it really does fill that role. It looks different, it's unique, but it really struggles in the firepower department. So if you can get around it, as I had mentioned, finessing it, you can have a pretty good time with it, but it's more of like a novelty type of thing. So that's my review for the F5F Skyrocket, and I'll catch you guys next time. Peace.